So, PARACONOMY Inc. here. We found the other end of Duke Duke at Jesse Stamp and Jen O'Brien with Spencer Garrison, a few other people from Lapeer, and a connection all the way back to my sister. And it goes around through the enigmatic chamber here on sexual orientation. So being able to create a dissonance between your end and my end. So we got Jen O'Brien is kind of co-opting into my life since middle school. And she's said, if he can have it, why can't I have my own? And so Jesse and Riley and Tyler Burrows and Sam and Jessica, they've all gotten my side and my friends and stuff to believe some stuff about the ideas that I guess they ran away with in a lot of ways. And it's leading to this part where it looks like these people might have to relocate some of their penance here because it's killed a former partner of mine because it got a lot of rumors started and people saw what they wanted to see, spearheaded by Jen and some of the things that she feels like she got cut out of. If there's this part in sexual orientation that leads away from popularity that she's trying to get the main stage in on, but I was able to spearhead it because I'm more popular. And I have this weird feeling that this part is a missing piece as to how we got to this part in whoever's been here with my family and the people that they're getting with because everybody's getting older. There's more variety, and people are using their money, and it gets David Rossi and a bunch of people from Hunters Creek involved, because there's a bunch of people in Lapeer that are really close knit. So it's a really big part of how I'm being doxxed out, and they're trying to make me homeless. They're plotted to murder me, and starve me out. They're trying to make me look crazy. But we've all had sex with a lot of people by now, and it looks like in the past 3 or 4 years since lockdown started, they caught on to my part of move motion forward in discovery and being able to utilize this line of telepathy along my network and chamber on things that I've used in my experience. So it looks like the people around me have this part connected with Dakota Edwards and um, some of the other PC builders here and PC engineers. And that triggers off into the Mesa um, community where my dad and the teachers and other engineers have been utilizing some of their gaming connections, and I have gaming connections in the art community, and so do some of these kids, but they have like they look for the like heavy hitters instead of like the one-offs and flings and stuff. So that's a big difference in what I've gotten peppered into my liberal arts degree out west, where maybe Jen didn't get that and she had to teach and do a bunch of stuff. So, um, over the past few years, it looks like that's been a big, that was a big flag for people to jump in and take advantage of the situation. And it looks like it got way out of hand. And now a bunch of family members and stuff are getting exposed through this line of telepathy because everybody's able to talk with each other and communicate with each other. And it looks like if it goes back to uh, October 2022, then it makes sense that it's hitting on hard times once the scapegoating is placed by Kat and Jesse, and Riley. And then they also get Jen involved and Ruby and Kendra and all of the trans girls. And then that triggers off all of the white dudes, Mike Kanjar, Sean, I don't remember his last name, and Alan Morrison. Yeah, a bunch of people. Um, Probably Jake Bond and my buddies out there. Well, old colleagues in that sense. I was teaching them a lot about like music, but like so like me and Ian and Peyton had a threesome in that sense over here, and then we have this thing going on where they had a poly outside of that, and they were the last Lapeer couple that is attached to other people in Lapeer that are like hanging out with each other, banging. Everybody's banging each other, but like there's this like line of pathing away from more LGBT, like liberal flamboyancy to this more secular normative part of my life where I'm more cross-section and just bi-curious. And that's kind of like where this part seems to be resurfacing now. Um, in in interesting um coincidences, which I don't believe for a minute that these didn't happen on purpose. So like there's like this daunting issue here on how people see me and how people want to continue to create this narrative about me, against me, with me, for me, or however it was supposed to feel, and how far they've gotten away from this end of manipulation. And they're sitting there in their little castles because this goes up north to the LGBT community up north that I met with Ashley Stamps, Jesse's little sister, when they got married and I did their pictures for their wedding, which was like a pretty good time. And like that's kind of where it was I was only up there like one night with them, but it was a pretty good time up there. And Riley's really close with a lot of them. And like probably they all kind of gossip up there about things. And once this hit, that triggered off more down in my hometown. So that's one big reason why everybody who's been out and about over the past 4 years, while I've been like mother henning a bunch of like really cool youth group material for like LGBT, that it wasn't getting spun into correctly, and that jealous eyes had been like kind of giving me a side eye here, and it circles back, and it's my hometown LGBT community. Of course, I mean, it's a small thing. So it looks like they might have to look at getting their likeness back from Paraconomy so we can disclose the function of as to what they have paranormal phenomenon in their library of capabilities. So yeah, further news will have to surface and kind of bezel the situation here so we end up with the right weight. And so like as we continue to procure this information in the right ways, it'll surface and eventually give us 5:20 a.m., 4:10, 2025, and give us a better sustenance because it looks like it has all of my old girlfriends in it eventually, and like my old friend group gets a little crossed off here in weird ways. so everybody can kind of hear. Um, and like everybody's just gonna wait till I die or get evicted and get kicked to the curb. And there are maybe, I don't know, they don't know how to feel because all they're seeing is me getting paid to jack off. And that's not really like, that's just one part of it. I get to work from home, and people are kind of like looking at that and being like, no, I don't want lockdowns to keep happening. But like, there's a good chance we'll discover reasons to have the government lock down the country. And it'll probably get worse before it gets better. Um, that seems to be the only consistent part as to how it's trending, because it's a bunch of people who are popular who are sharing time together. And that's kind of why it's getting a little bit too outrageous in that sense. Um, People want to have faith that their Jesus isn't transsexual or like it makes them gay or something like that because it basically puts that part of the equation in back in where I just have a I have a cool birthday, but like at the same time, dude, I haven't had a nobody celebrates it. Like, so like there's that part, and it's like you can read more about it in the disclosure articles and my disclosure blog. There's a few good ones in there. Check those out because there's a whole lot of publishing that can be looked into and rethreaded and stuff like that to get the right amount. Um, and it doesn't seem like the people have spoken, but the people haven't spoken directly to me, which is silly. And it kind of adds into like why it's happening. And if there's been like a lifelong rivalry that's just gotten like spun into a like ego, it makes sense that there's this like line of like transcendence in my legacy on how many times I've like had good experiences with these people, and I try to leave people on a good note. Especially when it's like we're not living together and stuff like that. Because the past 5 people I've lived with, I've had to live on top of each other. And that's kind of because back there I tried to give people a chance. So as we continue to unravel some of this serious causation and being able to throw in the towel on some things and move forward on the right things, people can decide if they want more baby Hawaiians or, if they're just gonna disintegrate me. But aliens exist. There's all sorts of paranormal phenomenon that also can be articulated by experience. Check it out yourself. Don't just take my word for it.